Hello student, welcome in 8th standard. Today we are going to see our history of 7th standard, 8th standard, 8th standard history. In that first lesson we are going to see uh, the name of our lesson, that is how, when and where. How, when and where. This is the first lesson of history. Actually, in 8th standard history, there are two parts. First part for first semester and second part for second semester. So, in the first part, we have this lesson, how, when and where. See, this is the book of 8th standard. Uh, in that, on the very first page only, this is the lesson, how, when and where. The lesson is deals with the study of history. Why we should study of history, and on which topic we should give focus on the history. Here, very firstly, we have the point, that is how important are dates. How important are dates? Generally, we have heard from many people, maybe from your friends, you have heard that in history there are many dates, and so that the history is the very difficult to uh, understand also and to remember also. But is this true? Dates, dates, dates are important. No doubts in history that dates are very important. But is only dates are important in the history? No. Apart from the dates, there are many things we uh, we should study, and we can study and we can get knowledge about the history, about our past, and from that past, from that knowledge, we gain more information of our past, of our last generation, or from many generations what they have done. So in history, dates are important, but dates are not only important in the history. Apart from the dates, there are many things have the importance. Here uh, we have given that uh, history is certainly about changes that occur over time. Over time, those things are happen in the history on the time to time. They have changed, and these changes we have to study in the history. Here, as we have talked about the dates. Dates are important, as I told you. But there are many things in the history, they have not fixed date. They have not fixed dates. For example, here only given, that is I will read the example. Watching someone sip a cup of tea at a roadside tea stall, you may wonder, when did people begin to drink tea or coffee? The question suddenly maybe come in your mind, that when we have started using this coffee or the tea, when we cannot say fixed date. We have not fixed date of the tea, or using the tea as a drinking thing, as a human thing. We cannot tell fixed date. We have not fixed date. We have not fixed date. Second example we have given that when were railways built and how did people travel long distance before the age of railways? Before the age of railways, how we was traveling or moving one place to another place? How before the railway? And you know that railway come uh, uh, we know that is the late in the 18th century or mid of the 18th century. 18th century this railway introduced, but what is the exact date when the railway built? We cannot take that the fixed date. There are many things given. See on the next page, they are clearly given. We cannot fix one single date on which British rule was established, or the national movement started, or the changes took place within the economy and society. All these things happen over a stretch of time. We can only refer to a span of time and approximately period over which particular changes became visible. We cannot tell that when exactly our national movement started. What is the exact date? We cannot tell, we cannot find that when British exactly started ruling on India. We cannot tell. We generally only after the Battle of Buxar or the Plassey 1757, and after the 1757 one more battle, that is 1764, that the Battle of Buxar. After the Battle of Buxar, on India, British people started the rule, but exact date we cannot take. So dates are important, but everything having not fixed date. This point we have studied here, that is how important are dates. Dates are important, but there are many things having not fixed date, and there are many things having the fixed dates. So it is the fact about the dates. Second thing here, that is which dates. Second thing is here, which date. Which date. Which date. Which dates. Which dates. It is depend. It is depend on who is the writing history. It is depend on who is the writing history. For example, if the British person write the history, that time he has given importance. See here one picture is given, that is Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India in 1773. 1773. Here who is the going to write the history of Indian culture or Indian tradition? That the British person. When the British person writing history, he has given importance to these dates, because from this date or 17 or this year 1773, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India. So this year is the important, but according to whom? According to the British person. According to the British person, these dates are these dates date is the important, or this type of the dates important. For example, there are many governor or governor general came and they have introduced. There are many rules in India. So when that laws introduced, these dates are the important. But why the same history if the Indian person, right? Indian person, that time he will not give these dates important. He will not give this history. who is the going to write the history? That Indian person going to write the Indian history. So he maybe he will give the importance that for example 13th of April 13th of April 1919, 13th of 1919, on that day, or the 6th of April, or the 6th of April, on the 6th of April 1919, on that day the Indian one movement was started, that is the which movement? Non-cooperation movement was started. So these dates are important. For example, one more thing, 15th of April, 15th of April 1948. These dates are important. Why this date important? Because on this day India got the freedom. 13th of April, 13th of April 1948. This date not important. This date not important. Which date important? That is 15th of August. 15th of August 1948. Why this date important? Because important events happen in India, so this date important. This date not important. So this is about the dates. On dates important. When dates important? Dates are important. If on that day something important incident happen, that time these dates are important, and it is depend on the who is the writing history. If the British person writing the history, that those things are important, according to them these dates will be importance. And if the Indian person writing the history, that time he gives the importance to whom? On that day important things happen according to the Indian person, or in the favor of Indian. So these dates are the importance, but it is depend on who is the writing history. Now we have one more point, that how do we periodize? How do we periodize? Next, we have the one more point, that is how do we periodize? How do we periodize? Periodize. How do we periodize? How do we periodize? In this point, we have one Scottish person, that is James Mill. James Mill in 1870. James Mill, 1870. James Mill. He was the Scottish person. He was the Scottish person, and he has written the Indian history. He has classified, he has periodized Indian history into three categories. Which are three categories according to the James Mill? That Hindu time, then Muslim time, and British time, According to the James Mill, who was the Scottish person, Scotland, belong from the Scotland, so Scottish person, that is Hindu time, Muslim time and British time. When the we have seen that there are many dynasties, Zhou dynasty, Pandya dynasty, Maurya dynasty, Satavahan dynasty. So this time the Hindu king was ruling on India. So he has given this era or this time, that is Hindu period or the uh, Hindu time or the Hindu classified the period of Hinduism. Then Muslim, Aurangzeb, Shahjahan, actually Babur. So those was the Muslim kings in India. This era, this time known as the Muslim history of India. According to whom? According to the James Mill. Then British. We know that British came in India and they established their power, their rule here. So this is the British rule in India. In India, but this is not truly perfectly periodized Indian history. Then Indian person, how Indian historian, they have classified again this time, again this Indian history into another three categories. Why? Because they believe that if Hindu time there only in India, not only Hindu people was living here. Apart from the Hindu, there are many other religions also living. Same about the Muslim time. Muslim people was, or the Muslim king was in India, but not only Muslim people were living in India. There are many religious. There was many religious was living here. Same about the British time. So according to Indian historians, this classification is the wrong classification. So that they have uh, uh, introduced another three type of the Indian history. That is which three? That is medieval history, ancient history, and modern history. In that ancient history, then medieval history, and third one, that is the modern history. So this ancient history, medieval history and the modern history, in this type of the types of the history, classification of the history or the periodize of the history, Indian persons have given to us. So according to the James Mill, these three classification, these periodize have done. And according to Indian historians, they have given, that is ancient history, medieval history and the modern history. This was the classification of Indian history. Okay, remaining part we will see in the next video. Thank you.